the way up to the top. Deep breath in, and we'll twist it off to the left. Hands as anchor points once again to get tall in the spine. We're rotating past the left shoulder. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Raise it to the sky, all the way back to center, and then release those hands down. We're going to let go of our blocks or our bolsters, whatever we're using behind us, and come into our first downward facing dog of this morning's practice. So moving our props out of the way. Hi, bunny. I'm going to scooch you too. Thank you. Onto the hands and knees. Spread those fingers out nice and wide. Tucking the toes, hips to the sky. Downward facing dog, but I'm going to have you concentrate on the long spine. So maybe we can't lengthen the legs out all the way yet. Let's start by pressing down and forward through the fingers and knuckles, just opening up and feeling the length and strength in the spine, pulling the low belly in. From here, whatever that angle is for you, now extend your right leg. And we'll pause 3 breaths right here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Bend that right knee once again. Concentrating on the upper body, the length in the shoulders, the long spine, pulling that low belly in, and the left heel melts down. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. One more. And bending those knees. Let's return to our tabletop position so that we can soften the shoulders and give that a rest. Rocking all the way back into our child's pose. Sweeping the arms behind you, let the shoulders round, the back round, belly breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Lovely. So let's bring those hands back out in front of us. Inhaling up to our hands and knees. Tuck the toes, hips to the sky, downward facing dog. And from this space, let's just reach that right leg up and settle it down. Inhale the left leg up and settle it down. We're just warming up those hips because we're going to have one leg up and one leg down when we get into our pose. Right leg up. Settle it down. Left leg up. Settle it down. Looking forward, let's step the right foot forward. So we don't want to have it too far away. What we're looking for is for both feet to actually be pointing in the same direction. So instead of your warrior one position where your heel's dropping down, I'm going to have you shift. Maybe shorten your stance a little depending on how your frame is. But we want all 10 toes pointing forward. Your feet are actually parallel to one another. We're going to bend that front knee and slowly, and it takes a lot of balance, roll all the way up to the top. So from this space right here, all I want you to notice is that you have to squeeze in through your inner groin space to really hold you up at the top. There isn't that ability to have that heel dropping down for balance. So you're opening up your back calf a lot more. The front knee is helping to stabilize you by staying bent. When we lengthen it out, it's going to be a little bit more work. Pull the low belly in. And for right now, I'd like you to put one hand on the low back and one hand on the belly and swoop the pelvis pelvis under. Squeeze that back leg nice and long, and just let that back quad and hip flexor open up. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Gorgeous. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. And from that space, lengthening out that right leg. Notice that the hips start to shift around. We want that right hip to press back. So hopefully you can see that happening, that this right hip wants to pop out, and you're using your right heel of your hand to press that hip back so that it's nice and even. And in that moment, you are definitely squeezing in through that groin space a whole lot more. See, just by me looking at you instead of at my focal point, it makes me lose my balance. So pull the low belly in, take a nice deep breath, and on your exhale, we're folding all the way forward, keeping that right hip pressed back. So if your hands don't reach the floor, it's okay. Grab a hold of blocks. Blocks are amazing. Lift the floor up for you. We're keeping those feet parallel to one another. Maybe let your head and neck relax so you can look at your back foot, and just make sure that you haven't adjusted that foot. We want to shift it and make sure it stays parallel. So from that space, we're simply going to melt down and try to attach the entire right side of the body, right side of the chest, all the way down onto the thigh. Pull that low belly in. Keep pressing the right hip back. Depending on your balance in this moment, you might want to bring that right hand back, bring the thumb into that hip crease, and keep pressing that right hip all the way back, keeping it nice and squared off for you. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's take 4 more breaths here, really taking some time to allow for this opening to occur. When we get into our Warrior 3 stance, we do have to have the strength to hold in a halfway lift with the same split happening in the legs. So right now we get to have the balance involved and the back rounded. And when we switch that, we're changing our base up, but the shape doesn't change too much. Breathe steady. Use that connection to your breath to hold you in this present moment and to help you really realize what's occurring and changing in the body so that we can recreate that opening and that strength with more ease each and every time we come back to this posture. Beautiful. Halfway lift. And I'm going to have you shift the feet, walking the hands all the way around so that we're parallel on the other side. Bending that front knee. Taking a moment to come all the way up, just like we did on the other side. And now we're finding that strength here. It's very, very easy. I know I do it almost right away, kind of bowing out my spine. So hand on the back, hand on the belly. Swoop that pelvis under for the moment. Squeezing that back leg nice and long and opening up the hip flexor and the quad of the right leg this time. And we'll pause here and breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, keep swooping it under. And exhale. Let's take 4 more here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. It does take balance to just be here because the feet are parallel to one another. So don't shift your heel. Work on that balance. That intrinsic strength is going to be a big deal when we get into our full Warrior 3 position. Lengthening out that front leg, maybe using your left hand to press that hip back. Such a huge difference, even though it's a tiny shift. So that makes a big difference on where the opening happens in the hamstring and in that IT band area. From there, hinging forward, trying to melt the left side all the way down towards the thigh. Now remember, if your hands don't touch the floor, grab blocks. Inhaling and exhaling. And just like on the other side, you can use that left thumb into the hip crease and continue to press that hip back. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. And let's take 5 more breaths here. Really taking your time, noticing exactly where maybe you're tighter in that hamstring. I have like a very specific line in mind from past injuries. So maybe you have some past injuries that your body has been accommodating for and shifting and changing things for. Let's just notice where those are at. Offer it a little attention, the intent of our breath to that space, and some patience to allow for it to find its strength and mobility. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Gorgeous. Let's bend that left knee, and we're going to step our right foot to our left. Roll it all the way up to standing. Arms to the sky, deep breath in. Hands through heart center. And let's just rest the hands onto the top of our hips, gliding it down towards our glutes. From that space, we're going to tuck the pelvis under and just press it forward. That should feel so amazing in this moment. We're going to pause here. 2 more breaths. Inhale. And exhale. Awesome. So from this space, we're going to come into a couple halfway lifts within our forward fold. So from here, you can either grab, I just realized that I got rid of my little towel, so I'm going to fold my mat so that I have that extra give. So you're going to have just a little bit of a fold so that your feet are on, the top part of your feet are on and the heels are off. And all this is doing is helping to flex the feet a little bit more. So we're going to come from this space, inhale and reach those arms to the sky. Exhale, hands through heart center, and we're starting to hinge forward with a long spine. So maybe this is where you stop, and this is your halfway lift. But over time, base of the rib cage, we're going to start to draw that down, draw that down, draw that down. Find that space where you are parallel to the earth. But at the beginning, you may be up here. Your hamstrings might not allow for that halfway lift. So let's find that space. Hands at heart center. And it's almost an over-exaggeration, at least the feeling of it is. It feels like you're coming into a back bend, but we're really creating as much length in the back side of our vertebrae as possible. So let's find that. Roll the shoulders back. Still pulling the low belly in. And what you'll also notice is now that our feet are set on our blankets like this, that it's rocking the weight back into the heels. And this is going to be a very, very big deal when you're in your warrior 3 for balance sake. You need that counterbalance with the weight of your leg. 1 more deep breath in and out. Let's bring it all the way up to the top. Sweep those arms all the way up and then melt it down into your forward fold. Hands down to the earth. And walk out your fold. Pedal it out. Stay connected to your breath. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Bend your knees and roll it all the way up to standing. We're going to build on that. Inhale and reach those arms to the sky. Hands through heart center, finding your halfway lift. So maybe this time it goes a little bit deeper. Maybe this is where you were last time and you get that extra little inch. Tailbone up and back, halfway, trying to find that parallel to the earth. And let's reach the right arm forward. Thumb facing up, squeeze that arm close to the ear. Maybe you're using your left arm to help. Inhale. Exhale. Hands back to heart center. And the left arm reaches. Squeezing it up by the ear. Maybe the left arm is assisting. Inhale. And exhale. Hands back through heart center. And melt it back down into your fold. Walk out your fold. Relax the neck. Pedaling out those legs. Bending your knees and rolling it all the way back up to the top. Arms to the sky, full breath in, hands coming through heart center. Awesome. So from here, we're going to unroll that mat if you had it rolled, or just moving your blanket out of the way. And everybody, please grab a hold of your blocks. And maybe you don't have blocks on hand and you want to use a little bench or a little table. This is one of my favorite little tables right here. It's a little high, but you know, when you have stuff around the house, it's really nice to be able to utilize that. So we're going to use those blocks or your whatever you have to find that halfway lift. Because this is a little high for me, I end up bending my elbows a little bit and having to support myself. So you create that nice L shape of the body. And then with your left foot, we're going to start to reach it up and back, but only as far as you can keep the toe facing the floor. So maybe it doesn't come all the way up because you start to open out to the side. We want to rotate it down. Find that. And if you can, over-exaggerate it a little bit, toe facing down. Try to drop the left hip down so that you get that nice IT band opening through the right leg. Inhaling and exhaling. Flexing that left foot, reach to the heel because we'll start to bend it and it gets heavy. We've got to squeeze it nice and long, really letting the energy shoot out through the heel of that leg. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more. And then letting that left foot settle down next to the right. Bend both knees and let's roll back up to the top and shake it up. Warrior 3 takes a lot of strength and at the same time a whole lot of mobility. We're not asking for just gravity to take effect here. We're the ones holding in that space all on one leg. So be patient with yourself. It takes some time, for sure. We're going to switch to the other side, coming down on to whatever we're using to find that halfway lift. Finding that nice 7 shape. And then from that space, this time the right leg is going to lift up, but it's only lifting up as high as you can keep the toe facing down. If it's opening out to the side, we've gone too far. We're getting to a different space of our base leg. So we want to make sure that that toe is pointing straight down to the earth. And then from that space, as you can see, I'm adjusting my hands, and it helps me to be able to drop that left hip down so that we can open up through the TFL and IT band space on our base leg. That is something that stops you quite often from staying linear in your opening for a warrior three. And then you end up somewhere in between a warrior three and a half moon. So let's flex the foot and reach the heel, squeeze that leg straight, dropping that right hip down just a little bit. Pull the low belly in, breathe with me. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more deep breath in and out. Let's settle that right foot down to the earth, bending the knees and rolling it all the way back up. Nice. So before we go into our variation to actually get into our personal warrior three, because everybody's going to have a different spot, we're just going to soften in through that sacroiliac joint just a little bit. So I'm going to have you come all the way down to the floor. I apologize for the up and down this morning. Warrior three just takes a little bit more than some other poses. We're going to create this beautiful diamond shape with our legs. So that means that the heels are going to be far away from the pelvis, and we're giving ourselves some space here. Now when we do that, we want to grab one side and grab the other and actually move those glute muscles out of the way purposefully, because we don't want to trap the piriformis down and create any kind of sciatic pain. We're going to actually draw those knees up, muscularly engage the inner thighs, hands. We're going to swoop underneath the shins. And from that space, let the back round, and we're trying to draw the top of the head towards the heels. As we do this, you should be feeling a nice stretch throughout the low back, all the way down to the sacrum. And let's take 5 breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. Oh, so lovely. And make your way all the way back up and just feel how that softened, all of that strength that we were bringing into it. You know, from a very yogic standpoint, Warrior 3 has a lot of gorgeous things to offer you, but from a very Western standpoint, you are doing a back extension. And if any of you guys have ever been gym rats and going in and out of the gym and doing those back extensions or straight leg deadlifts, Roman deadlifts, any of that where your back is nice and long and the legs are nice and long, it does require a lot of strength from the erector muscles, the QL muscles, as well as the top portions of your glutes and then hamstrings. So coming back all the way up, let's make our way, and we just want to make sure that we're softening that, right? Taking care of ourselves along the way. So we're going to get into our Warrior 3. This is probably the first time that I've broken down Warrior 3 and not utilized a wall. So it's going to be a little bit different of an experience, which means that leg that's lifting can feel kind of heavy, and you keep having to go back and over that, over and over and over against the odds of just engaging that leg as much as you can, and almost like you're trying to just shoot energy out of the foot. You're squeezing so much energy out that direction that it feels light instead of heavy. So we're going to come all the way up. We can use blocks. We can use our tool here. It's whatever you want to use. I'm going to move this out of the way and switch it over to blocks because I know the majority of people do use them. And I want you to have both viewpoints. So let's have those blocks all the way down. And we're in our little bit of a halfway lift. So as you can see, we're in more than a halfway lift. We're creating a little bit more of a 7 shape. And in the yoga world, this is actually the full variation. Fingers to the toes, halfway lift, tailbone up and back. So from this space, we're going to bring that left leg up and back, toe facing down, and see if our left hand can actually come to the fingertips instead of the full hand on there. And you're going to see how that creates a little bit more of that halfway lift where your torso is parallel to the floor. From this space, pull the low belly in. You're going to look forward on the floor and reach the right arm straight out in front of you. This may be where you stop today. I know my balance is a little bit precarious this morning, so this is where I'm stopping today. Perhaps you can reach both hands forward. Now the question of the day is, do you feel strong or do you feel like you're straining your low back? If you're straining your low back, then you bring that hand back to the block, and we're pausing here and finding our warrior three right here. And this is a fantastic place to be. Fingertips touching, leg extended out. See how my knee started to bend? Squeeze it nice and straight. Bring that life into it. Toe facing down. Pull the low belly in. And then lower that foot down, bending the knees and rolling it all the way up. So you're going to feel strength sweeping up the entire spine. When you're reaching that arm, these arms, this is a lot of weight on the low back just to come forward here. Just to come forward there. So have some patience with yourself if you're feeling that there's strain. That may be too much weight for your low back right now. Hands at heart center, hands down to the block. Everything is all good, but we want to find the rest of that. And then there's a deep stretch and strength happening through all of the back end of that base leg. Let's switch sides. Inhale and reach the arms up. Exhale, folding forward. Finding that halfway lift, tailbone up and back. And then bringing that right leg all the way back. Trying to find a little bit higher of a lift. So on the fingertips, squeezing that back leg straight, flex the foot toe down towards the earth. And then maybe, just maybe, that left arm reaches forward. If you feel strong here, you can bring your right hand to it as well. Inhale. Exhale. Keep squeezing that back leg nice and strong. Belly's in. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. And last one, deep breath in and out. Settle that foot down, bending the knees, roll it all the way up. Nice. And welcome to your warrior three. I hope that was lovely for you today. Let's come all the way down onto the ground. And we're going to just bend the knees, feet down, curling the body around the thighs. Try to condense that space so that you're rounding the back as much as possible. Tuck the chin down. So you're going to have your face all hugged up in here. Know that it's going to be all muffled as I'm talking. We're going to start to inch those feet forward just a little bit. Flex the feet. Let them settle. Inch the feet forward. Flex the feet. Inhale. Exhale, let them settle. Keep that bind. Keep walking your hands all the way around like you're hugging your thighs. And we're just inching. You're going to find your edge of where you can keep that condensement. And it may be that you stop right here. It may be that you lengthen out the legs even more. It's all going to depend on your personal flexibility. Wherever you are, make sure that you keep that condensement and that you're able to breathe fully. Inhaling. And exhaling. Inhale. And exhale. found that absolute edge and you start to actually soften into this condensed form, I'm going to have you drop that breath all the way down into your belly. And as you breathe into the belly, you're going to feel this huge expansion in the low back. Natural traction. Inhale, drop that breath all the way down. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then let's release that bind. Oh, use your hands. Slowly walk it all the way up to the top. Shifting the hips forward. We're going to melt all the way down. Grabbing a hold of your block, of your bolster, whatever suits your body's needs best. We're going to have our feet planted to the earth, hip distance apart, knees pointing to the sky. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, press through the heels, lift the hips up. We're going to put that block bolster right underneath the sacrum, neutralizing. Feel how the chin is tucked into the chest. We're giving some attention to the thyroid and parathyroid gland. So after you take just one more breath here, feel how everything settles in. Oh, it's so lovely. And you can decide if this is going to be your inversion for today's practice. Honestly, it's a gorgeous inversion. Although the legs aren't up, it still is carrying a lot of that blood flow back to the heart, back to this, and all of that lymph back to the spleen. But if you would like, we can come into another inversion. As you see, I've lifted my feet up. And maybe you even noticed that I have a natural tendency to want to cross my ankles. So if you also have that natural tendency just because of things that you've done over your lifetime, let's uncross those feet. Make sure that they're just right next to one another. And you could maybe maintain this right here, or possibly shooting those legs up to the sky. I'm going to stay with my knees bent this morning. Inversions are amazing for your immune system and for your circulation. Whatever inversion you choose, make sure that it does feel delightful to be in it. There's no reason for you to feel like you're being tortured in your poses. We're starting to slow down and bring ourselves to the end of our practice, and we want that to be a delightful experience. The challenge is over. We made it to that apex pose. Slowly release our inversions. If you're using any propping. Let's let go of the propping as well. And how the arms opened out nice and wide. I'm going to walk you through my favorite twist, but if you have another in mind for your body today, feel free. Left leg crossing over the right, shifting the hips off to the left, and the knees dropping to the right. All the way back to the top. Uncrossing those legs, shifting the hips so that they're realigned with the shoulders. And then we'll switch sides. Right thigh over the left, moving the hips off to the right, and then the knees dropping to the left. Looking past the right shoulder. And let's come all the way back through center. Uncrossing. And slowly but surely making your way to your Shavasana. As you recline into that final resting posture, feel everything let go. as you're reclined into your Shavasana and the breath is easy in and out, come back to that intent that you created. Allow it to be a lovely energy that you infuse each and every relaxing breath with. Break through your blocks. Sometimes we're so blocked in a particular area, we don't even consider a breakthrough a possibility. We're so blocked, we don't even see our blocks. Stay open. Don't limit yourself. Something that yesterday seemed entirely unfeasible and forever beyond your grasp may tomorrow, next month, next year, or even today become something that you can do naturally, something that is available to you. It can come in a total surprise in an area you hadn't considered. Your breakthrough may happen in an area that you've been struggling with or working on. Life is more than setbacks, and it is not static. Appreciate and respect where you are right now, but let yourself move to the next level when it's time. Celebrate your breakthroughs when they come. Listen to that quiet voice, that fleeting thought that says, why don't you? Even if it's something you have never done before. Let's begin to come back into the body, starting to slowly reawaken. And then when you're ready, we'll draw the knees in and roll onto your side. Allowing your eyes to remain closed as you press all the way up to a comfortable seat. And then we'll let our hands either rest down at our knees, maybe one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, or perhaps for you this morning, it is Anjali Mudra, hands at heart center. Returning to your intent and feeling the truth behind those words that you whisper to the backside of your mind. Inviting that gentle smile to kiss the corners of your lips as your hands get light and float up to your forehead, your third eye. Tilting your head up towards the sky, please offer yourself that one last intentional deep breath in. Exhaling as you fold forward. Namaste. Thank you guys for a lovely morning, and I hope your Warrior Threes felt fantastic.
I will see you all again very soon. Remember to keep your eye out for the email coming out about the 1st, because we do have in-studio classes beginning on the 1st. So we want to make sure that you are fully aware of which classes that you can attend, and all of that good stuff. So love you all. Talk to you all again very, very soon.